the legendary Toyota Land Cruiser. Everybody knows this car for its insane reliability, but how does it really wear, and what are the good and bads to owning it over a long period of time? This car has 270,000 miles on it, and today we're going to be showing you some of the parts that wear well and the parts that don't wear well. We're going to talk about what is great about owning this car and honestly the not so good that a lot of people don't talk about. Welcome to another episode of Eat Sleep Drive. My name is Kurt. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But I haven't had the Land Cruiser on the channel in quite a while, and I've been getting a lot of requests. So we're going to go over all this stuff today, and I'm also going to show you the undercarriage because I get a lot of requests after I did a video of doing an underbody sort of protection on this thing using the Eastwood product. So I'll give you guys a view of that as well. So let's dive into the first thing that I actually find really annoying about the Land Cruiser. I don't have many complaints when it comes to this car, but one of the complaints that I do have is pretty apparent when you just look on the outside of this thing. This car has some pretty big overhangs with these bumpers. And if you look at any modern car, they've really done away with these bumpers that stick out past the grille or the front of the car. The whole car, or the whole vehicle, nowadays, they just sort of end. And there's a couple reasons for that. I think first and foremost, car companies do that for pedestrian safety standards, which is certainly one thing. But another issue that solves is this idea of knowing where the end of the car is. So when I'm driving the car from the passenger or from the driver's seat, you can't really tell exactly where this point is. You can see the end of the hood, but you don't know how far this sticks past. And as you can see here, it has seen better days because this bumper, both sides, the back, I've hit things with it. And to be honest, most of these were here before I bought the car. So clearly it's not just me that has this issue. And I could be more careful. This car has a lot of miles. I'm not super concerned about it, but it is rather annoying. The way the bumpers stick out on this car makes it kind of hard to maneuver because it's already a pretty big car. You can't talk about a Toyota Land Cruiser without talking about reliability, because that's realistically this car's biggest strong point, because it is more or less bulletproof. And this example is no different. 270,000 miles, and it's had nothing but regular maintenance. Oil changes, you have to grease the wheel bearings every now and then. The timing belt service is really the only major cost you will incur on these cars. It's about every 100,000 miles, and it will run you a couple grand to do. It's not a huge job, but relatively involved. And at this point, this car has already had it done twice. So it's worth noting if you are looking at these cars, whether or not that's been done or whether or not it's due. I did have one thing pop up right before I drove across the country. I had an O2 sensor go out. Once again, I don't think that's necessarily anything other than a wear item. You sort of expect that kind of thing. 120 bucks. It was real easy for me to do myself, and I was back on the road. Far and away, the biggest Achilles heel to a Toyota Land Cruiser is fuel economy. When you live in a place like California, or really anywhere in the US now, because gas is just insane, but particularly in California, $4.60, $4.70 a gallon, this starts to be quite expensive to drive virtually anywhere, because best case, you're gonna get about 14 to 15 miles to the gallon if you have the stock tires on it. Now, I, of course, have put these huge aftermarket tires on it and subsequently ruined the fuel economy even more, which is probably a horrible idea, but they do offer you the ability to kind of go anywhere. So one thing I'll say about fuel economy is I used to own a 2000 model, a same generation, but a little bit older, and they had the 4-speed automatic. The later generation, or the later cars, I should say, the 2003 and plus, has a 5-speed, and I did notice a 1 or 2 miles per gallon difference when I went from the 2000 to the 2007 when they added that extra gear. So it is worthwhile to say that preferably you try and get the 03 plus to get that slightly better fuel economy, but at the end of the day, it's still gonna be pretty bad either way. Let's take a moment to go over what's wearing well and what's not wearing so well on this car. The paint and outside of the car holds up super well. Good quality paint. The seals around the windows, even though this car has really been stored outside, are all holding up very well. no major cracking or anything like that. So the outside of the car, really outside of when you hit it against things, holds up quite well. The only real wear items I've noticed with these cars, including mine, my 2000, now my 2007, and other cars that I've seen, are kind of on the interior. These seats tend to wear out, and when you look at a lot of for sale ads, you will see some very torn up seats. Of course, the driver's seat is going to be more torn up than the passenger, just given that it's inherently going to get more use. Mine is in pretty decent condition, all things considered, but these are very common to tear over there on the further leftmost bolster because people kind of slide in and out of these cars. And it's worth noting that I really haven't done any conditioning or treating of this leather. It would probably last a little bit longer if you did. Another major wear item on the interior is the steering wheel. You can see I have a steering wheel cover on this, really just to hide the wear. But if I kind of peek here, the steering wheel is in pretty bad shape. And that's another thing that wears on these cars. But really, genuinely outside of that, the seats and the steering wheel and, you know, this center console gets scratches quite easily because it's cheap plastic. Outside of that, everything is screwed together really well, no squeaks or rattles, and really the rest of the car is holding up quite well. Other than reliability, these cars are of course most known for their ability to sort of just go anywhere. And I've found that to be incredibly true with this car. But not only just that, but it's to go anywhere in insane comfort. You can get a Jeep and go pretty much anywhere, right? But it's gonna be horrible. It's gonna be horrible to drive on the road because of the front and rear live axle. The steering's horrible, they're super noisy, and it's the opposite in here. This has independent front suspension, so it's really good on the road, and it's still capable off-road. It's super quiet, really anytime on the highway, driving around town. It's extremely well insulated. The ride is wonderful. It's the best of all those worlds combined. And yes, it hurts whenever you fill this car up at the pump, but you have to remember that what you are trading off, that horrible fuel economy, for getting just this like tank of a vehicle that will take you anywhere in comfort. I've driven this car across the country, pulling a trailer with all my crap. It was comfortable. It didn't even know the trailer was behind it. So it's got that V8 engine, the 4.7 liter, which has plenty of power. It's just really a do everything vehicle. I did this Eastwood undercoat about 2 years ago. And as you can see, it's holding up really well, which is impressive too, because I take this car off-road. I do not treat it particularly well, and it sees a lot of sand. Granted, it hasn't seen salt in a very long time, and that was the thing I was trying to protect it from most. I left Ohio last year, so last year was the last time it saw salt. Hasn't seen it since I've been out here. But I would highly recommend this Eastwood undercoating. It's pretty easy to put on and is been so far pretty durable for me. As you can see with this car, after 270,000 miles, it's showing virtually no signs of letting up. Like I mentioned, there are some nitpicks where the overhangs are kind of annoying and they lead to you sometimes bashing into things. The fuel economy sucks, but everything else about it is amazing. It rides amazing, it's quiet, and you can just take it just about anywhere in the world. I'm at a bit of a crossroads with this car because I love it. I really don't want to sell it. It obviously is going to hold up for a long period of time, but now that I have my 4x4 van, I'm kind of left with, why do I have this vehicle? I kind of have two similar vehicles for sort of overlanding, and it seems kind of silly to own both. So whether or not I sell it, you guys will just have to wait and see. Hit me up on Instagram if you do want to maybe make me an offer. Eat Sleep Drive TV on Instagram. But look, it's not going to be cheap. You're going to have to pry this from my cold dead hands. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the Toyota Land Cruiser. Everyone has a story they love to share about the Land Cruiser. Leave it below. Hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.